Hi there. Welcome to Divine Truth Sharing. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to pray. Now, many people pray every day, and sometimes people feel discouraged because they feel that their prayers are not being answered. So in this video, I'm not going to just talk about how to pray, but I'm going to talk about how to pray in a way that your prayers will be answered. I have had countless thousands of prayers answered over the course of my lifetime. And the only reason I mention that is because I want you to have countless thousands of your prayers answered, and I know that you can. God loves each of us like his own child. And in fact, God's love for us is so deep and so great that it feels like you're the only child. Not only does God love you extremely personally, but so fully and so completely that you would think there's no way that God could love any other child. You are just that delightful to God. And that's the truth. And you will know this truth when you learn how to pray. So let's get started. It's often helpful when learning something new to find out what it's not. So let's start with what effective prayer is not. Well, it's not a wish list or a menu where you can place your order for your desires and your wants with God. So not Santa Claus. That's the bad news. The good news is God's real, and Santa Claus is the wish of our hearts. So what else is effective prayer not? Well, it's not mindless repetition of words that we've memorized. Now, that doesn't mean that some of the most beautiful prayers that have been written throughout the ages are not effective. Not at all. It just means that when you use those prayers that have been written by someone else and memorized by you or read by you, you need to really, really feel them in your soul. And when you really feel them in your soul and they speak like you're speaking from your soul, in other words, if those words are so meaningful to you that they feel like you could have written them, and that is the feeling signature with which you offer them to God, then yes, of course, those prayers are effective. Another thing that effective prayer is it's not even mindful repetition. The reason I say that, mindfulness is wonderful, but mindfulness is human, and it comes from the mind. Okay, that's the name of it, mindful, right? Full of mind. And effective prayer is full of soul. It's a very different experience. Mindfulness and mindful prayer is a wonderful and useful tool for preparing the soul for prayer, for effective prayer. Because what mindfulness can do in things like yoga and breath work and chanting, and those are even singing, those kinds of things, what they can do is they can quiet the mind, so that now we're in the soul. And that's where we want to begin for effective prayer. Quiet the mind, come into the soul. Now, there are many, many ways to pray, and I'm going to cover quite a few of them in this video. But there's no way anyone can cover them all, because prayer, effective prayer, is genuinely about a relationship that you personally develop soul to soul with God. So it's going to be as unique as you are. And remembering that God is like a parent to us, the biggest secret to effective prayer is to go to God like a little child would go to the most loving parent. Not to the angry parent, not to the judgmental parent, not to the scary parent, not to the negligent parent, not to the absent parent, not to the careless parent, not to the haughty parent or arrogant parent. None of that is anything like God. God is fun and funny and loving and kind and wise and merciful and compassionate and every good and perfect quality that you can possibly imagine based on your human experience on steroids times a gazillion? I don't know. So one of the things that we have learned from Jesus in the Bible, and it's reiterated many, many, many times in the messages, it takes faith to pray effectively. Okay, that could be a stumbling block, right? What if I don't have any faith? If I have to have faith to pray effectively, how do I get faith? Well, you have to pray for it. Well, that's a catch-22 thing. Kind of. Not exactly. Compared to God, we're babies, right? Maybe not even that. I don't know. Embryos? I'm not sure. We're really tiny compared to God. So he's so gentle. He doesn't expect us to start out running. Or maybe not even to start out crawling. Okay? He just expects us to try with whatever we have inside. Just bring it to God. This is what I mean when I talk about coming to God like a little child. So if you are a person who feels like you don't have the gift of faith, well, you can get it. So you go to God, and the first thing that you might say is, God, I understand that I need faith, and I don't have any. Would you please help? And it can be that simple. Now, I want to share a little personal story with you. I had faith. I was very fortunate to receive the gift of faith at a very young age. I had a little bit of faith at about age 6 based on a trust that I had in my parents and my ability to observe my parents and witness. They had real faith. You know, a child can discern falsehood and truth. Even if they don't know it mentally, they feel it in their tummies, right? We have an innate God-given gift of being able to sense these things. And at age 6 or so, I believed in God and prayer because I was taught to by my parents, and really I just believed in my parents. But I can actually remember laying in bed, saying my prayers to Jesus and Mary and Joseph, because my family was very fond of the Holy Family, and thinking, well, I guess the Holy Family makes sense. I'm not really sure, but I can remember wondering, is this real? Is God real? Is God really going to answer my prayers? And I really didn't know. So I thought, I don't know. But I like the sound of Jesus and Mary and Joseph. I like the sound of it. I liked the idea. And then when I was about 10 or 11, we had some real drama and actually trauma in my family of origin that was extremely painful for me. And I was deeply, deeply afraid for a family member. I was so afraid for the well-being of this family member Then I locked myself into prayer and I said, God, as long as my hands are clenched, don't let anything bad happen to this loved one, please. And I stayed that way with my whole body just sort of locked in kind of terror, really. I didn't have faith, but I just had a desperate need. And I stayed that way until I felt a presence, a loving presence, come and sit beside me on the bed. That was my first answered prayer that I was fully aware of. Ask for faith, and what I'm telling you from my experience over decades at this point is that a little at a time, your faith will grow as your relationship with God develops through prayer, and your prayers become answered. That's how your faith is going to grow.